Siberia. That's it. Okay. This is how a Neanderthal looked like. Okay. This is a reconstruction. It's not entirely accurate. They look like us. They look very close to us, but they are not humans. They are not human beings. Okay. Now, why is this so special? Because in 2001, we sequenced our DNA sequence fully. Okay, the human DNA sequence was fully completed in 2001, we knew. Neanderthal DNA sequence we sequenced in 2010. And when we did that, this person, Svante Papa, got the Nobel Prize for doing that. When we did that, we realized something very interesting. We realized that 2 to 5% of our DNA, all of us have bits of Neanderthal DNA in our genome. None of us is 100% Homo sapien. We are not, all of us, me, you, everybody in this room, everybody in the world is not 100% Homo sapien. Why? Because there is always number varies from person to person. There is always a mix of Neanderthal DNA in our DNA. Okay? How did that happen? Because human beings were generally living in our ancient ancestors. Homo sapiens ancestors were living in Africa and Neanderthal ancestors were living in Europe. When human beings moved out of Africa, they met the Neanderthals, they mated with Neanderthals, and from there whatever spread out was a mixture of Homo sapien and Neanderthal ultimately. 2 to 5% yes, but ultimately that 2 to 5% survived in our DNA. It is there in all of us right now. Okay? The question is, were the Neanderthals smart? Okay? In that graph that I showed you, I said human being is there. Okay? If I plot Neanderthal, they'll be right next to us in terms of brain and body size. Okay? Their brain was actually bigger than ours. I'm not saying they were smarter. That's an entirely different thing. Their brain was bigger than ours, definitely. Our brain capacity is 1300 cm3, theirs was 1450. They were definitely had bigger brains. And this I showed you that the FOXP2 sequence of human and all. And when scientists looked at the FOXP2 sequence of Neanderthal, they found that it was exactly identical to that of human. They had that same 2 changes that made human beings smart. Okay? And there was one, that day in WhatsApp, only one emoji was shared by all scientists. This one. Because it's a big shocker that all of us thought that in fact in English sometimes they say you Neanderthal means you fool, you idiot, like that. But then it appears now that they were as smart as we were. Maybe. This is some more proof that Neanderthals were definitely doing all the things that early human beings were doing. They were making rope. They found this rope along with the Neanderthal, sequence in a Neanderthal cave. They were making this kind of necklaces with eagle talons on the front. They were making this kind of art. This is a very interesting bone of a Neanderthal that was discovered. The important thing is this is basically the tibia, this bone. This bone is important because there is a break in that bone there, if you can see it. That break is healed. That means that animal, whatever this Neanderthal was, its bone was broken and it survived long enough for it to be healed. That means somebody took care of it. This bone, in ancient world, if this bone is broken, you are finished. Because you cannot run from a lion or a tiger that is chasing you. If this bone is healed, that means that Neanderthal was, somebody cared for that Neanderthal. That means they had enough understanding, enough emotions to realize, to care for their own other members of their species. They were doing all these cave rituals and other kind of these things also. Okay? If they were strong and smart, okay, that asks one important question. If they were strong, they were definitely stronger than us. They were smart. Were they smart? They were smart, definitely. Then how did they become extinct? Right? Why is Homo sapien, 97% Homo sapien alive today, but there's no Neanderthal, there's none of those other species that are there? And the honest answer is we don't know. Okay? We don't know. It could be, so this arrogance that human beings had, that we are smart, that's why we survived and other species died, is not true. This species, Neanderthals, were smart like us. I don't know if they were as smart as we were, but they were definitely smart. Okay? They were making rope. You can see in the previous slide, it's not an easy thing to make rope. They were making ropes. They were making art. This basically some form of art that they drew on their cares. They were taking care of their young. They were drawing these hashtag-like symbols on rocks, everywhere. They were not, you know, which monkey, I ask you, which monkey can do all of these things? No other monkey can, right? It's something that that's smart and that is definitely, you know, much more along that line than other animals are. There are a lot of theories as to why these animals went extinct. Most importantly, I'm not going to go into detail, these are all just theories, there's no real thing. The important point to note is this, okay? We are not, survival of the fittest is not just about, you know, being strong or being smart, okay? Because I just showed you that something that was as smart as we were, stronger than we were, somehow died out, but our species survived, even though that 5% mix is there, okay? At one point, if you want to look at the evolutionary tree today, you have the ancestral monkey there. The first to branch out of that tree was the orangutan, then it was the gorilla, then you have the chimpanzee, and then at this point, there is a common ancestor between, you know, human beings and Neanderthals. We don't know which of these species it is. We suspect that it is this one, but there is no proof yet. We cannot get DNA from these fossils. The important point, this is my last slide, okay, is that at one point there were 11 species of humans alive on this planet, okay, and 8 of them were alive at the same time, okay, 150,000 years ago, 8 of them were alive, all of them were living together, okay, and today there is just one left, okay. So the question that I am asking you is this: are we really strong, are we really smart, or are we just lucky? Okay, thank you. That's my last slide. Is not here. I want to thank the C.N.R. Rao Foundation and the organizing committee for giving me this opportunity. Who I don't want to thank is Atul, because I told Atul nangu olle slot kodi anta. He gave me a slot after Shiv Prasad sir, after KRS sir, after Vinayak and Dr. Raja. That is like, I was telling them, it is like going to bat after Sehwag, Sachin, Dhoni and Kohli. Nobody wants to see you bat, okay? But thank you very much for you all being a great audience. I can take any questions if you have it, okay? Thank you.